Welcome, Wolfpack fans, to our now traditional Tackle Talks, the third annual Tackle Talks, but the first virtual one. It's been a trying year for everyone. I'm sure everyone would love to be in person, live at this event, but we got a pretty good setup here. Once again, Kevin Kennedy and Homestand Sports has set us up. They have a great platform, and they do a great job of arranging these things. So big thank you to them once again. Big thank you to all the fans out there. Like I said, it has been a bit of a grind of a year, obviously personally and the sporting world as well. Everything's been turned upside down. But we have some great guests on today. So for people that aren't familiar with this format, I'll give you a little idea of how it's going to go down. Right off the top, I believe we're going to have Bob Hunter coming on, Chairman and CEO. He'll give us a little rundown of everything that's been happening with the franchise, some updates, things like that. Up next will be the coach, BMC, the big man, and we'll talk to him for a little while. Guests can also, I think we're going to try with a raise your hand idea at some point. So if you do have a question, you can try to fire them in, either raise your hand and maybe we can get you up on the screen and you can ask a question. After the coach comes on, we're going to have a few players come on. Josh McCrone, the captain, and newly re-signed Canadian Quinn Ngawati will be up first. And then the second batch, we're going to have Bodene Thompson and James Cunningham. So pretty good lineup of guests there for everybody. And any second now, I'm sure Bob will be joining us. For all you rugby league fans out there, there is nothing, I don't think anything's definitive. You know, maybe Bob will be able to tell us. But there is some light at the end of the tunnel. The NRL in Australia is starting up games. There's a great app, Watch NRL, if people want to check that out. Maybe watch some future Wolfpack players in that mix. Also, you know, as many of you know, the RFL has announced, you know, at least a few tentative schedules, provided everything kind of, you know, continues to go somewhat smoothly. Maybe potentially restarting in August. We don't quite know, you know, if any of these games are going to be played in Toronto. That's really out of everybody's hands at this point. But, you know, we don't even know if fans will be there. Most likely they won't in the beginning. But I think any form of sport would be amazing for everybody. So hopefully things get better. And we got a couple questions coming in already. So a lot of Callum Watkins questions for people. So we're definitely going to talk about this guy because he is a new signing that got announced a couple weeks ago. So I will get to that question from Annie Massey, asking about Callum Watkins. A couple other people were as well. So we're definitely going to talk about that. I'm pretty excited to have the coach on here. Coach definitely does a lot of interviews, but now we got him for about 20 minutes cornered. So anyone's got some tough, I actually have some tough questions for the coach, I think. I'm going to try to make this pretty fun though. I don't really want to harp on, you know, it's obviously been a lot of negative press and things the last couple months. So, you know, people like James Cunningham, who did have an issue with COVID, we're going to talk about that, but we'll try to keep it for the most part kind of fun and lively and keep it to things on the pitch and, well, off the pitch, actually, with the Wolfpack. So I think we have Bob Hunter queued up in a second, so I'll wait till I see him there. Everyone probably knows Bob Hunter, the chairman and CEO. He's, I see a little box coming up there. I hope it's him. I do too. Chairman and CEO Bob Hunter. He has a long and distinguished career in sports and sports management in Canada. Worked for MLSE, which is pretty much the biggest or powerhouse sporting agency. There he is. Bob, how are you?
Rob, my apologies. I was sitting on hold for the last 10 minutes because John Pallett told me to get on the phone at 20 after 12. So my apologies.
Well, let's just say sorry to all the listeners that had to listen to me for 4 minutes.
Oh, no, I could hear you. I just couldn't get on screen.
Oh, okay.
So, anyways, good to see you again.
You too. Maybe just, you know, just right off the top, actually, you know what? Let me just backtrack a little bit because you've actually been here for, I think, only 10 months, but I think you've dealt with probably 20 years worth of issues in those 10 months. You came on highest of highs. We won another high. We got Sonny Bill. You know, obviously you've had TV issues and are we going to get in there? And then this issue, just as you sit down and relax, what is this 10-month Wolfpack journey been like for you?
Well, I just want to remind everyone that when I joined the club, we were 22-1, and I successfully and personally took them to 28-1. No, actually, it's been to call it a whirlwind as be an understatement, but besides being a tremendous amount of fun with so much learning for me on my side, sort of to catch up, it's been a big challenge. I mean, it was so thrilling to win the grand final. It was so thrilling to sign Sonny during the off season, and to put a player of that caliber and that notoriety on our squad was unbelievable. So we had a great launch with that in the UK. Obviously, we start and plan for the season and have a slow start, to say the least. None of us happy about that, but I think everyone believed that, you know, given the nature of injuries and where we were sort of in Sonny's development and coming back, that, you know, we could see the light at the end of the tunnel without a doubt. And, you know, with 23 games to go in the season after our first start, confident that we were going to be a very, very competitive club. Needless to say, the world taken back by COVID, and it's a whole new world out there. You know, part of the things that sort of I do every day is I watch the UK and the Canadian COVID scenarios, both nationally, provincially, you know, the UK itself, and where those numbers and statistics are going relative to when we can get back playing. So that part has been good. I think at the end of the day, we're all probably a little bored with planning, which seems to be all we're doing these days, planning. You know, we have so many different fixtures or schedule scenarios that we've looked at. We get a new one kind of every week. We're looking at that, you know, still praying that we're going to get back sooner than later. We'll host some Canadian games this year. And I don't know if we're going to start in empty stadiums or whether we're going to start with live. But again, those decisions are outside of ours. And obviously we sit and look at the health authorities, sit and wait for their comments. And I'm not sure whether Ontario is any better than the Manchester area or the western part, or the eastern part rather. So, you know, we sit and wait.
Okay, so that kind of leads me, and we have a few fan questions, so that kind of leads me into one. This one's from Daryl Jones, and he was curious if it was only going to be 1 or 2 games that the teams could come over here, because it's probably going to be, you know, October or November. Would it be important for the team to get the guys over here, even just for 1 or 2 games, to show the fans? And or is there any chance, if you lose the home fixtures, that next year you would get extra fixtures?
We are still hoping, very much so, but again, everything is timing. We're still hoping to host 5, 6, 7 games this year. Again, depending on when we start in open stadiums. And again, that's an Ontario provincial decision and obviously affects all of our partners in sports in the GTA. If we didn't and ended up playing in the UK only, yes, we could push for more fixtures for next year, because needless to say, not having any home games is a significant financial impact on us.
This is another fan question. I'll summarize it a little bit. How do you feel like your seat at the table? You know, you guys discuss things with Super League teams and everything. Do you think that do you get heard, or is there like people on your side? You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's 12 teams voting on things. Like, do you feel like they take into account the Wolfpack concerns and questions? Like, you feel you could get a good shake?
I think it depends on the topic that we're on. I felt, as I hope Martin Vickers would support me, that, you know, we've been sort of a welcome addition to the team. I mean, we are kind of I'll call this the sexy international partner. And I think, and I say quite confidently, that I think we bring a lot to the table. I think, you know, with the experience of our coaches, our staff, and that, you know, what we've shown we could do in the last 3 years. And then the very, very significant signing with Sonny, and then the recent signing with Callum, you know, I think the teams are going, oh, these guys are for real. Like, and there's longevity to the Toronto Wolfpack playing at the Super League level. So I think our commitment to the game has been evident. And, you know, again, our job is to ensure that our financial viability is sustainable in the long term. And that's where we are going to need the league to step up. And we've been vocal so far. I would say it's been fairly quiet around the table when we talk about finances. So again, that's one of our challenges.
TV, a lot of people asking about TV. A lot of this is up in the air. We don't know if all of these games are going to be broadcast. Do you have anything to add to that? Whether you know if the Wolfpack games will be broadcast here in Canada this year?
Yeah, again, we had a great schedule to start with if we'd ever had a chance to actually start. And, would have probably been the most covered team of any of the Super League teams by Sky Sports. And we had an arrangement here for them to cover the games, I think 6 of the 11 games in Canada. So again, depending on what happens long term, who's going to get, they may start with, 3 games in the same stadium on the same day sort of thing. So there's going to be a lot of Super League rugby available, and I think that we'll get our fair share. When and if we play those games in Toronto, I think now we're going to have to reopen those negotiations with Sky and figure out a solution that works for our fans.
I just want to go back a little bit. I want to fantasize about what it would have been like if we did play games here. Like you said, the season started rough, but we had a win and guys were coming back from injury, and we had these 3 big games lined up. Wigan, St. Helens, Sunnyvale, all the new guys coming here. It was going to be a bit of a coronation, and obviously the timing was so bad. Like, what was it feel like before this shut down? Like gearing up for that 3 games in April, which I think was going to be absolutely massive here. I mean.
Well, we had, and thanks to a lot of people, including yourself, we had a lot of momentum coming out of last season, and the building of the team's profile in the Toronto marketplace was very, very strong and growing. So I think people were psyched about that first April 18th game, and let alone to see our squad, hopefully in the winning way, but even more so to see Sunny Bill for the first time. That was a big piece for us, both from a promotion, marketing, profile standpoint. So that was probably the most disappointing part, let alone not to see the guys all back, but also to see the guy that could make a difference on this squad.
Anything else you want to fill fans on? I know there was talk of a new sponsor or anything. You want to fill fans on something there?
Yeah, no, we're very excited that we just signed a new deal with a company called Agrinote Holdings. They're a data and IT company, very, very significant. They've been around for 20 years. Martin Vickers did a great job with them. I think there's a slide coming up, but they are very, very strong in the UK and in Europe and growing in North America. So we're really excited about having them on board as our official technology partner. And also they're going to replace Rugby Strength as the key position on our jersey for the balance of this year. So great company to work with, excited about it. And it's always good to have a strong technology partner.
Okay, this is just another fan one quick. I'll get you a couple more questions, then we'll get you out of there. Has it been confirmed that there will or won't be relegation this year, or is that still up in the air?
I would say that it's still up in the air, but it is looking less and less like it will happen. Again, who it impacts is Championship and League One, without a doubt. That's rather obvious. But importantly, it's, I think the general consensus is it isn't fair. Like, it just isn't fair to anyone when you've got, call it a 10-month or 10-week rather break in the middle of your season. Good point is the guys do have a chance to get healthy, and all the guys are training hard. But at the end of the day, as it relates to the number of games, we don't even know how many games we're going to play yet, through the end of the year. And so I would suggest that the championship teams that would be competitive towards promotion may not even play. Like, it's just a matter of what League One and what Championship decide to do. So.
Okay, I think I didn't get you out of here in a second. I'll give you a couple of easy ones. You live in a good neighborhood for food in the city. You have a great market around you. If someone from the UK is coming to visit, like the St. Lawrence market, where are you pushing them towards? Is there a food spot or food things there that you like?
Well, I think, I'm a big fan of all the restaurants on King Street. and started university and just go left. And or go west. There are some great spots there, and our guys kind of live in that neighborhood. So any fans that are here might run into them at their restaurants. So.
Okay, one more. I think we brought this up briefly last year. You have a kinesiology degree. You have a master's in sports medicine, I believe. Have you had any input? Do you go into the gym, give the guys any tips? You talk to John Kelly?
Well, I do, but he throws me out as soon as I get there. He said, "Thanks, Bob, but you graduated almost 30 years ago, so I'm not sure you're quite up to speed with today's technology and science, sports science." But no, I always have my own opinions. Sometimes people will listen to them, mostly, and I'm glad they don't.
Okay. Well, most of the best exercises were formed long time ago. Okay. Some of these new kids think they know everything, but they don't.
There you go.
Okay. I'm going to let you go, Bob. Thanks so much. I know we're going to have something similar down the road, and hopefully it's in person, but thanks again for your hard work. I know it's been quite a ride for you.
Rob, if I can I did want to do a shout out to Sandy Domenico Shipley, who did a great event last Saturday. I heard over 300 to 400 people participated in it. Social media has been our tool to stay engaged with people, and John Pallett and his team have been working hard to keep everyone engaged. But Sandy did a great job, and we appreciate her help.
Yeah, thanks to Sandy. We got amazing fans out there. And thank you, Bob.
You're welcome, Rob.
Okay, we'll talk to you soon. That was Bob Hunter, Chairman and CEO. There was a lot of questions I had from fans there, but some fans had some tough questions. And I know there's a lot of unknown right now, so I don't want to fire too much at Bob, because I know some of them are unanswerable as to whether fans are going to come to games or what the situation is going to be. But man, like I said, that guy, remember when he came on, we won, but there was like, are we going to get promoted? Is Super League going to let us in? And so just the amount of issues in a small period of time. Big ups to Bob Hunter for keeping the ship on float. And it's good to know that he's in the corner, because he's super experienced. And if you're going to have somebody have a seat at that Super League table, he's a good guy to do it. So I think Brian is coming up in just a second. I'm pretty excited to talk to Brian. I don't know if he's excited to talk to me. We'll see. I think I've had a chance to do maybe one. I think we did one Brian interview at an event, and here he comes popping up here. See him in 1 second here. Please, this has been pretty good, actually. Zoom's been really good, and Kevin and Homestand has set this up well. But bear with us if you do have any technical issues. Sure, they'll get ironed out. But I feel like everyone in the last 2 months has used Zoom and tried it out. So we'll see. Brian's, I think, there. We're just going to unmute him in a second, talk to the coach. Yeah, it is pretty crazy times. Like this Wolfpack season was, it started rough. Really, like that last game against Huddersfield, the guys really seemed like a different team. The schedule was lightening up a bit. There were some home games coming. And man, I feel like that 3-game homestand in April was going to be like a parade. I think just the buildup of the last three years or so, and getting promoted, Sonny Bill, man, the media was going to go crazy over it. So it's quite unfortunate, but we'll come back strong. There he is. Coach McDermott, how are you? I don't know if he's unmuted there. I could see, it looks like he was doing a little workout. He's got the bag taped up. That's what you do when you punch something 70,000 times. You got to put duct tape on it. I would hate to be that bag. I'm just going to talk for Brian for a second here.
Me? Can you hear me?
Oh, there you are. How are you doing? Brian in sunny England. It's very sunny here. We'll give Brian 1 second to get his stuff together. He's got the tank top on, the Lonsdale, which I think is a boxing company. I would hate to be that bag. There he is. You got to unmute yourself. Bottom. There you are. Sir, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. You?
Very good. Did we catch you at the end of a workout?
Yeah, I have trained today, but no, not just now. No, not training now.
Okay. I'm going to ask you about boxing later. I'll give it a second. I was going to ask you about boxing later, but I'll give it a quick second. Yeah. So maybe just how's things? How you doing? How's the last 2 months been?
Well, funny, really. Tough in some respects, because we're all going through the similar thing, aren't we? Where we're all locked down and we can't we can't go about our usual routine, so that's tough. But then at the same time, not doing anything. You know, it's I find it difficult to moan about it, or maybe, you know, whinge about it, because there's not much happening. So a bit vacant really is probably the answer. But, you know, in terms of family and health and anybody I know, everybody's been good and nobody's caught the virus, so that's a positive.
Okay, so let's go back to maybe some happier things. You know, you were here for just a little over a year. You've pretty much accomplished everything you could in rugby league. But you got here, you took a team, you know, coming to a new city, new market, you got a team promoted, you signed this top-notch player. What, you know, just reflecting the last month, what was last year like, you know, that journey?
Oh, brilliant. And I mean that it really, really enjoyed the year. You know, being at the club I was before the Wolfpack, and the journey I'd been on with them, well, the next step had to be pretty good. You know, the next step had to be something different. So, you know, to join the Wolfpack at the stage it was, you know, they nearly got there in 2018, but then didn't get there, and there were certain things that I just needed to do my way and implement in the way I wanted doing things, and that in itself can take time. So we went on a bit of a journey, a short, intense journey over that one season. I know the Wolfpack had been on a brilliant journey with, you know, started off with Eric Perez, you know, David Argyle comes on board, and Paul Rowley did a brilliant job in getting the team and the club where they were. But any coach that comes in wants, you know, has his own imprint, has his own blueprint, if you like. And it was a short, intense period, not without its challenges off the field. And interestingly, not without its challenges on the field. You know, we weren't brilliant every single week last year. We weren't putting 50 points on teams maybe that people expected. But we developed a toughness and a resilience, and developed an ability to stay in a tight game, which probably doesn't make for the best of viewing week in, week out. You know, in all honesty, you know, where people do come to see a 40-point mauling of the opposition, you know, that's what people want. But you don't get that. But what it does do is that when it gets to playoffs, when it gets to that final third of the year, your body's seasoned, your mentality's seasoned, you're conditioned for it. So, you know, in many respects, it was a great journey last year. And I thought the way that we handled playoffs and the grand final was great. I thought it was a classic grand final. You know, Featherstone were almost a surprise package of everybody, did a brilliant job, Featherstone, throughout playoffs. Credit to the coach, credit to their club in getting them from where, because they're on a bit of a journey, Featherstone, if anybody's interested in their story, they're on a bit of a journey themselves. They won Super League. So, you know, I thought that the way we dealt with playoffs and dealt with a really determined Featherstone on grand final day is how it should be. It was how it should be. I was immensely proud. So, yeah, I can't speak highly enough for last year. And you know, brutally honest, you know, we were winning games as well. So you can remain positive while you're winning games, even if you're not winning games how you'd want. So the whole Toronto aspect as well, being in Toronto as well, I'm mega impressed. You know, I'm mega impressed with North America anyway, but whether you're talking USA or Canada, but the attitude to sports and the can-do attitude rather than, no, that can't happen attitude is it's very refreshing. And, you know, the Wolfpack are on the journey themselves within the city of Toronto, and they've got some big brothers, haven't they, to rub shoulders with. But as Bob Hunter were just saying there, while I was listening to him finishing off, that, you know, Toronto Wolfpack is making a name for itself, and it's getting a lot of people interested as seasons goes by. So I don't know whether that summarises the whole of 2019, but yeah, really good. Brilliant club to play for as well, by the way. You know, David's a unique character. David Argyle's a unique character, and you know, he's a very, very intelligent man, very astute guy. I don't think he wastes time with the usuals. You know, whatever the usuals are, he does. He can be fascinating to a lot of people, and some people might not take him on board. Some people might look at him and listen to what he says or how he conducts himself. And when he's wearing his Hawaiian shirt on game day with his flip-flops, you know, you wonder whether he's the owner of this club. But look, the guy's refreshing. He's got a brilliant vision for the club. His hunger for the club's great, and I really, really enjoy working for him. So you know, the club itself is a pretty good club to play for and work for.
Yeah, I've seen David in cowboy boots with no pants. So sorry, David, but um, you mentioned some of the North American sports. Have you gotten into any North American sports? Are you into any sports other than rugby league?
Yeah, look, I'm fascinated by NFL. I'm fascinated with the journey they've been on it, only in as much as that. So our sport is only full time for 20 years. So, people make a living out of this now, but it's only in the last, I'm going to say 10 years, maybe possibly 15 years, where everybody thinks, right, there's a career within rugby league. And, at the moment, there's not much of a career, but, when it kicked off, I was a player with a club called Bradford Bulls when we switched from winter to summer and we all became full time. And it was a brilliant, it was almost like a novelty that people then did this for a living, but nobody ever dreamed, I think, back then that this will continue. People could have a career in this. So it's only been a real good career move certainly for the last 10 years. So the NFL, they've been doing that for years, for decades. They've been full-time for decades. This is what they do for a living. And I think the NFL, I think we as a sport, forget about coronavirus for a little while, but we as a sport are going through some things that maybe the NFL went through 40 years ago. So I absolutely listen to what the owners of clubs say, what the coaches say. I'm interested in the story. I mean, listen, I'm fascinated by the sport as well. The actual product on the field. I've watched a couple of live games, and it's better than I thought. People think it's such a long, drawn-out affair that it's not as fast-paced as any. I think it's quite a good sport to watch. But I'm fascinated with the intricacies of the infrastructure of it, if you like. And I wonder if we could take anything out of that. And that's basically what my other interest in sports are. What I could take out of those for our game.
So do you study coaching philosophy, especially in the NFL? There's some real genius coaches there. Do you study other sports coaches' philosophies? Phil Jackson, the NBA, is a famous one.
Yeah. Listen, don't ask me to quote anybody but for sure, yeah, I think coaches are always looking for a different edge. And once you've been in the game for a while and you've pretty much exhausted specific techniques on the field, and you think, well, there's not that much more that you could do on the field. It's just different approaches to games, different approaches to training, to practice, to recovery. So certainly, yeah, I'm constantly looking. The big anomaly or the big leveler, if you like, is that the NFL is $1 billion industry, isn't it? Yeah. And rugby league isn't. So as much as we'd like to be, as sports science, one thing that everybody gets excited about, but you've got to resource sports science and pay for it. And, rugby league doesn't have that wealth of resource behind it.
Okay, let's go to this year a little bit. A lot of fans were asking. The year obviously started off a little rough. The schedule was tough. There was injuries. There was a lot of issues. The last game we played, the team looked amazing. I mean, maybe just talk about the first chunk of the season, the first 6 or so games.
There's a bit more to say, but I'll start off with, let's not dance about. We were poor, and in many respects, I thought we were soft, and just I don't think we was up for the intense battle that Super League provides us with. And most of our players have played at the highest level, whether it be NRL or Super League. Most of them have. Some of them haven't been there for 2 or 3 seasons, but it was disappointing in as much as that we weren't up for the battle, which most guys know about. That said, if there's any mitigating factors in there, you're right. I think the first 7 rounds were against the top 6 last year. And when I looked at the fixture list, I said publicly a number of times that it's going to take time for us to. I don't think I said register a win, but it's going to take time for us to find our feet within that competition. So while 6 and zip doesn't read too good, it was okay, and I don't mean to try and be dismissive. It was okay. While we were soft and disappointing, we were learning those lessons, and those truths were being spoke behind closed doors. We then encounter. Too many men missing, really. We've got too many quality guys missing on the field for us to be consistent. So there's a few things in there that we're certainly learning from it. It was a brilliant. I think my whole mantra of coaching is that you learn more from your losses than you do as a win. And I'm learning a hell of a lot about this group. And it was a really productive first 6 round for us, really productive. But I don't want any fans or supporters listen to this and hear me say that it was okay, because it wasn't. And it was poor. But with the best intentions in the world, we would have turned that around.
Okay, so maybe a couple of the guys that did get injured. We did have a new signing, Callum Watkins, a guy from Leeds. Maybe speak on him really quickly. And another guy Singleton, who we barely got to see. I know he had a knee injury. Maybe an update on his injury, and maybe some of the other guys that were out. So
Callum's he's my ex-captain from the Rhinos, and he'd been through a process at Leeds himself. He'd had some injuries in his time. When I got there, he was a young guy, and over my 8 years there, I watched him mature. And when I was at the Rhinos, we had a really, really tough season in 2016 for various reasons. We sat for a lot of the period number 12 in the position, bottom of the league. And we found out about ourselves. It was a really testing year for everybody, coaches, owners, fans, players in particular. And I saw some leadership qualities in Callum there when it was really adverse. And we made him captain at the start of 2018. So, I know Callum deeply. And, he's a quality player that I think the big thing I've got to say straight away, probably should have said straight away, the guy's a quality player. And, there'll be some questions about whether are his best years behind him. And, I'm signing on people I already know. I get all that, and I won't defend all these. I don't want to justify it. Callum's a quality player, and not only will he bring the quality player aspect, he's going to bring a quality bloke aspect as well as a leader. And we're going to go through some tough times. It's going to continue to be tough for the Wolfpack until we find our feet in Super League. And we need some strength of character people. I think that's a decent lead into Brad Singleton, who's a tough hombre, and he's as much of a style that any coach tries to bring. The one thing you can't get away from is that you just got to make meters and make some tackles. You need some soldiers in the middle of the field who are going to chew that hard work up, and that's where Brad's made his name in the game. So his injury was a bit weird. We first got told it'd be like a 4-month injury, and then I think Brad said, no, it's not going to be a 4-month injury. I love players like this. He didn't listen to medical advice. He's convinced everybody, including the medics, that it's not that length of injury. And right now he's running. And I think if he was to play in a month's time, he'd be available to play.
Wow, that's great. Okay, a lot of questions I get about salary cap. Do you have to deal with this? Does the team have like a mathematician on staff to deal with this? Is it complicated? And does Callum coming in mean somebody has to go?
Yeah, we got a member of Mensa dealing with it.
Agranote, maybe they can do it.
So look, it's inappropriate, and it's inappropriate for me to talk in detail about it. But we're under the cap, and we make things move. Some things aren't as they should be. So we can spend less than anybody else in the cap because of who we are, not because we don't have anything right, because of who we are, where we're based, weirdly how we pay the players. And the fact that we don't have an academy, that means we don't get an ability to spend as much as everybody else. So within that, there's some negotiations, there's some dialogue to have, and everything we're doing is within the cap. And when we signed Callum Watkins on, it wasn't too long after I'd said publicly that we don't have much room left. Again, I'm not going to go into detail, but we're not breaching the cap.
Okay, cool. Okay, I'm going to give you some easy, fun ones. You boxed. People know this.
They were fun. They were fun ones.
Hello? Sorry, a little glitch there. Okay, let me see if Brian's... You hear me, Brian? We'll give Brian 1 second here. Maybe a little tech. I was going to ask...
You're going to have to say that again, Robert. You're going to have to say that again. It's like you went into a time capsule.
Okay. You boxed. People know this. Sonny Bill has boxed. Darcy had a match. Bodene. So let's say there's the team is going to have like a tournament, and the end, the winner gets to face the Grand Master, the big boss, Brian McDermott. Who's in the main event? If we set up a Wolfpack charity match, who's in the main event? The opening match, by the way, is Chris Plume fighting a German Shepherd because he thinks he can take a dog. So who's the main event, and then who is Brian McDermott leery of? Who's the guy you're watching out for?
It's not fair because that's not fair. If I've got to box people, right, there's got to be a stipulation. They can't use their legs. They're not allowed to move. So if I've got a bag there and it doesn't move anyway, it's that heavy. When I punch it hard, it just moves an inch to one side, and I'm a legend punching the bag. So if I was to box anybody, the stipulation is they've got to keep their feet riveted to the deck. Then I might have a chance.
I feel like you could social distance and still hit somebody with your jab. You got quite the long arm.
Yeah. No, that's right. And if I was smart, I'd box and I'd never get punched. So, no, I've seen Darcy use some mitts and gloves at training. He's useful. Bodene's very good. I've seen Ricky Latelli. He's very good. There's a few guys out there. I'll tell you, Brad Singleton's really, really good as well. I've held for Brad Singleton. I've done a bit with Sonny Bill as well. I've held for Sonny, and he's class. Sonny, he's got a lot of ring craft, and it's a bit like when you talk about a young fella who just comes into a game of rugby league and he's running around like a million miles an hour, wasting all sorts of energy everywhere. Well, you get that in boxing. And when you get really good with it, you've got ring craft. And Sonny's got a lot of ring craft. He's been boxing a long time. So he's from a great boxing background there. So that I'd lose against all three.
We'll see about that. I feel like from your rotator cuff to the end, I saw you point your finger at somebody last year. And I think from rotator cuff to finger, you'd be dangerous. If there was like a world jousting competition without lances, I think you'd put my money on you. Just Brian McDermott on a horse with his arm extended. Yeah,
I'm good at pointing fingers, especially when we lose.
Okay, so I'll just get a couple more. A little fan question here about academy, which you mentioned. Anything in the works for like an academy, or is all of that on hold at the moment?
Yeah, of course there is. Listen, in my time as coach, I reckon, I don't know whether, I think I might be brave enough to suggest this. I think I might have give more debuts in my teams that I've coached than any other coach out there. I'm a massive fan of juniors coming through. I love to see a young guy join a club at 14, 15, 16 and make his first grade and help him and nurture him to become a seasoned first teamer. And certainly the future of professional sports team is, especially in rugby league, is producing juniors. Yeah, but the fires that at the moment that the club has got to fight are massive, and they're ongoing. And you've just had Bob Hunter there, and I wasn't privy to everything he spoke about. But wow, Bob Hunter and Martin Vickers spend 25 hours a day talking to people about you talk about salary cap there and central funding and distribution and TV money and partnership in the game and all those type of things. It's there's a serious danger that we as a club get consumed with that red tape. You start throwing academy in there. Do we want to produce an academy? Am I keen to produce an academy? For sure. Is David? Absolutely. I'll give you this as a way of trying to qualify what I say. When I first met David about coming on board, we had a couple of conversations about what it meant to be the Wolfpack and how he might have wanted me there, and he wanted me to express my desires to be there. And I said to David that, I don't know where the conversation was going, but I said, well, look, the reason we're all here is to win a grand final, isn't it? Brian Noble was sat there and Martin Vickers was sat there, and I looked at them two and they both nodded back at me, and David said, well, that's not mine. And it shocked me a little bit. I said, what on earth are you doing here then? If it's not to win a grand final at Super League, what are you? He says, well, I want to put a rugby ball in every kid's hands in Canada, certainly in Toronto. And it brought me up short, and that it then gives you a real clarity on where David's at. So for sure, we get all sorts of accusations and people aren't happy that, we don't have any Canadian players play for us yet. We're aware of that. And then, the academy, and then when will we produce an academy? It's on the list for sure. It's on the list. Keeping this club alive and ensuring that we've got a safe footing and a solid footing in Super League are probably the big fires that we've got to deal with right now. Okay, but for sure, the academies, listen, I'll be judged on Toronto coach at some stage when I leave, when I'm old and grey. And some of that will be to do with maybe silverware or games won or whatever. But another one will be to do with the quality of players that you brought through, and how many debuts did you give to Canadian players. I'm aware of that, absolutely aware of that, and that's something that's on my list.
Okay, well, I'll give you one more and then we'll get you out of here because he's coming up. He actually might be on the line, so watch what you say. But have you had a chance to meet and or like see Quinn train, and what do you think about him and his future?
Yeah, good. Yeah, he trained with us for a few sessions there before we all went into lockdown. I mean, the timing couldn't have been any more worse for Quinn. So he's got a brief history with us, hasn't he, already? And I was surprised. The guy's a tall guy. He's athletic.
Good kid. Yeah.
He's the right shape to start with, and you know there's lots of things on the list of what makes a good rugby league player, and being the right shape's not the be all and end all, but you've got to be on there. You know, he's what I know of him and seen of him and what I've experienced so far, he's a pro. You know, he's a pro without being professional, full-time professional, and you know, he's got a great attitude towards training. So, you know, there's a desire there to promote him and get him playing their first team. The harsh reality is, you know, you've got to be good enough. You know, and the harsh reality is you've got to produce, and he's got to produce as well when he gets that chance. But yeah. He could make a good story for us. You know, we got some time and effort invested in him, and we'll put a bit more into it.
Oh, okay, last one. Do you, obviously I see the bag there. What did you done during this lockdown? Is that what you do to relax? You just go smash that bag for a little while? How do you calm down or keep yourself level during this time?
Yeah, I found it hard, to be honest with you. I think if you got a specific routine and then that routine's just turned on its head. And, you know, I've talked to so many people, and they've really enjoyed lockdown. So many other people have got themselves into a different routine, which has helped them mentally to deal with it. And I haven't got myself into any routine, so I train too much. I've left alcohol alone, and you know, I don't mind a beer, but I've left it alone for, you know, mainly during this period. And, you know, at least 2 or 3 times a day, Martin Vickers and I will speak. I'll speak to David, I'll speak to Bob Hunter, and keep in contact with some players during this period, although I'll be honest, we have left the players alone. For the first, I think the first month of this, I think all coaches were trying to coach via Zoom or coach via FaceTime. But you know what, when I realised it was going to be such a long period of time, it was almost like an off-season. I just thought, let the players be, let them deal with their families. Some of those would be worried, some of the families would be at risk, and I just thought I'd leave them alone. So, you know, we've been actually productive in recruitment while we've had this bit of a down period, and we're really bullish. You know, we're really positive about 2021. I don't know what 2020 brings, and when we get back playing, I don't know what it's going to look like. I can't see it looking easy. Whatever the format is. And there's a few things being spoke about at the moment, you know, such as salary cap reduction, which I don't agree with, and different versions of the game. It's going to be a tough period in 2020, but we're actually now putting some things in place and looking to recruit and get a really solid foundation for 2021 without trying to write off 2020. And hopefully, you know, 2020 unfolds as it should do, and maybe we get over to Toronto for the final couple of stages there, which would be brilliant if we did. You know, the one thing I will say is everybody's missing Toronto. It's, you know, the reason we're here mainly is to play for a new club and to push the boundaries and do something special, but to get out into Toronto as well. And what a great city that is, and we don't get to do that so far, so that's disappointing. But, yeah, just getting ready for 2021, I think it would seem.
Okay, Coach, I'm going to let you go. Thank you. I know fans love it when you fight back against the salary cap and things, and we all almost always agree with everything you said. So thanks for everything and really sticking up for this city and team, and we look forward to seeing you in a little while.
I'll leave you on that note. Almost always agree. I like it. Thank you.
Okay.
See ya.
Okay, Brian McDermott there, the legend, BMC. I feel bad for that heavy bag there. I don't believe him that he would lose to, well, yeah, I guess, you know, there's some tough guys on the team. But anyway, Brian McDermott, good to see him. Makes me wish I didn't wear this sleeved shirt, though. Every time we do one of these things, the guys always come in flip-flops or tank tops. We're going to have a couple players coming up. There is a few things I'm going to make an announcement for. the Wolfpack are going to have an auction. We're doing an online auction. This is going to be going towards charity. Basically, the on-field staff, coaching team, players are bringing together a selection of auction items, allowing fans exclusive opportunities to spend time with the club at training and on and off game days. Majority of prizes will be claimed in Canada and the UK around the team's travel schedule. There's going to be signed memorabilia, match-worn jerseys from all players. Money raised will be split between the Wolfpack's new UK foundation, something we'll talk about a little later, and Variety Village, who's been a partner for quite a while, and coronavirus testing in the UK will be used towards. So I think next up, we are going to have Josh McCrone and Quinn. We'll give those guys a couple seconds to get in there. I couldn't get to all, it's hard to get to all these questions, so I'll do my best with people, but sometimes the coach gets on a roll talking and I don't want to totally interrupt. I was mostly interested to see who would win in a fight on the team. Maybe I can ask Josh. Hey, Josh, how you doing?
Good. How you going?
Hey, good to see you. So Quinn's going to pop up too in a second, but I'll start. Hey, Quinn, how are you? There he is. Okay, I'll start with Josh. I'm going to do a few questions for Josh, and then we'll jump over to Quinn. So, Josh, you got your Raptors shirt on. I like that. I probably had 10 questions prepared for everybody, and I have none for you because you're easy to talk. You're easy to talk to. The only question I have for you is, how many games of tag and hide and seek have you played with your kids during the lockdown?
Yeah, so I've tried to limit the games, introducing new games, but I've just introduced a new one. It's a bit of a wrestling one where sort of tag, but you got to tip each other's knees. So that's just come in this afternoon. But prior to that, there's been a fair bit of bull rush, which is just racing the other end, playing tip, bit of football, bit of soccer. So it's I'm keeping fit that way with our training. Yeah.
Totally. Other than that, do you have like a little home gym or weights, or you running? What's going on there?
Yeah, so when everything looked like it was going to shut down, JK John Kelly was lucky enough to offered us to come into the gym at training and take as much gear as we wanted, really. So I've got a kettlebell set and a few plates and a TRX. So a set of bands. Beyond that, that's about all I use for my weights, and running's pretty easy, isn't it? Just get out and have some fun.
Okay, let me jump to Quinn for a second here. So lost in all this was some super exciting news. I think March 10th, was it March 10th you got officially announced? And I think March 17th was our last game. But really pumped. I think one of everybody's favorite guys is Quinn. First of all, how are you, Quinn? Good to have you back.
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me on. It's wonderful. Good to be back. Great to see everyone, especially the players as well. So did you actually get over there? I believe you got to the UK. What was happening as this went down? You just got over there and then you had to go back? Yeah. So actually, as I was getting on the plane, obviously having to take a lot of care through traveling, just trying not to get sick. Got over, was able to train a few sessions with the boys, played one game for the Rochdale Hornets, and then pretty much that was on a Sunday, and the Monday they shut everything down. I've actually stayed over here just to be kind of closer to the boys and just to be prepared whenever we might start back up again.
Josh, I guess you would have met Quinn in 2018 when you got here. Anything different? Like, he's obviously probably bigger, he's older, he's more mature.
He's got wider, he's got taller. I think we only see each other for one training session, Quinn, before everything shut down there. So it was quick, basically shake hands, there you go, and go train, and then shut down. That's it. So I'm looking forward to get back and spending some time with Quinn.
Yeah, I think we're going to queue up a video in 1 second here. I think Kevin, our guy, will do it. It's just a little training session video done earlier in the year. And then I'm going to ask you guys maybe about, or Josh, about the camp this year and how was it? Maybe how was the year? Like, obviously it was a rough start, but you guys were great in the Challenge Cup game. You personally, Josh, had an amazing game in that game. How were you feeling? It felt like things were kind of taking shape, right?
Yeah, we were learning lessons. Although results seemed to be a bit mixed, I suppose. Each week we felt like we were taking a step in the right direction. So, and I suppose that culminated in a fairly decent display against Huddersfield, who were playing with some pretty good form at the time. But I'd see this bit of a break as an advantage to us as a team. It gives us a time to be on a level playing field with everyone else. Everyone else was lucky enough to have a big pre-season, and because we've got players that are based that go home to Australia, in the off season. We only get limited time before the season kicks off. So that first 6 weeks was almost the back end of our preseason. We just got thrown in the deep end. So I'm looking forward to getting back and playing whenever it happens.
Hey, Quinn. So, maybe you don't have to talk through the whole thing. People know your story. You left, you went home. And then I think you were saying, you saw this MRL pop up and you started thinking, hey, maybe I can do this as a career. Maybe just talk people through really quick, you coming back to the Pack and how that unfolded.
Yeah, for sure. I was playing with the National Sevens, Canadian National Sevens team, training with them for the time that I was away. And that was full time as well. And throughout kind of the back end of the year, I just saw an opportunity and kind of knew that I'd eventually want to end up in rugby league again at some point and really have a good crack at it. And I thought that the team was in a good place. So we got into talks and it kind of progressed into me being here at this point.
Okay, great. So I think we got a video queued up. I think it's probably Sonny Bill Williams working out, actually. But anyway, we've got a video queued up, and then I'm going to ask you guys about maybe some of your training. So we'll get Kevin to fire that up right now. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm settling really well, enjoying being here. A little bit colder than back home, and gets a little bit darker just a tad earlier, but I'm enjoying it. The biggest thing is, just missing the family and the kids and the wife, but the boys have been really welcoming, and they've got a massive camaraderie here that's pretty special to see. So yeah, it's been fun. Yeah, the first week with the team's been great. The boys have been really welcoming, and besides the training surface, the facilities here are pretty good. You can tell everyone cares about the team, coaches, staff, and the players. So I'm enjoying being here. Yeah, training in Australia was awesome. Done some really good work. Got the body feeling younger again. A lot more range of motion. And now this month is just about getting the running legs back into the system. So I've been doing that the last week or so. Yeah, the transition it'll get there. Just have to be, as the Islamic saying is, you have to have sabr. So that means patience. So patience. Looking forward to firstly understanding the systems, learning and playing how the Toronto boys play, but then also sprinkling a little bit of my salt on top too. So it's exciting. Looking forward to getting over there in Toronto. I heard it's mayhem. So get out there and support us, and make sure you come up and say g'day. And I'll say g'day, mate, back here.
Okay, Quinn, you I believe that the first year guys were jokingly calling you Sonny Bill. Is this a little surreal for you now that you're on the same team as him?
Quinny Bill.
Quinny Bill.
Yeah, it's always a great opportunity. I've had a lot of time, a lot of chances to grow up and watch him, as well as like a ton of other guys on the team. So definitely to see him training, it's pretty surreal, but it's a great opportunity to learn a lot and to definitely take some of the things that he does and apply them to myself.
Hey, so he talked about adjusting to a new sport. You were leaner when you came in. You left. You got a little bit bigger the next year. You went and played sevens. I think you mentioned you was a lot of running. You got leaner again. How have you kind of prepared to come back to this, like your training?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I kind of left sevens and was here the next week. So I've just really been listening to John Kelly, our strength and conditioning coach. I talk to him pretty much daily, and just focus on what he has to say. And obviously he does a lot of work with a lot of guys that have transitioned. So just put all my trust into him and work hard and do my best.
Okay, Josh, you can hear me. Kids are okay, Josh. Everyone's allowed one kid interruption, I think.
I'm blowing that quota already.
And pets. Pets are more than welcome.
No pets. Lovely wife, but no pets.
Do you have you live in kind of the country, is that right?
In Australia, yeah, I'm off a farm yet. Parents own 2,500 acres yet.
Do you have you have any run-ins with dangerous animals, snakes, spiders?
Yeah, snakes are a fairly regular occurrence. actually had 2 dogs that we unfortunately didn't bring over with us just for the quarantine reasons and different things. But I'm down to no dogs again. They've both been cleaned up by snakes in Australia. So that's just a part of summer in Australia, I suppose, is the snake threat. But if you leave them alone, they'll leave you alone.
Okay, well, let's just talk about this year a little bit. So going forward, man, how did you like the squad? You're the captain, you know what I mean? You're not the coach necessarily, but like, how did you like the squad? Some of the new additions to the team, Brad Singleton, Cunningham, who's coming up, Sonny Bill, obviously. Maybe just talk about some of the new additions and the way you thought the roster was looking. Callum Watkins coming in.
Yeah, I think the club's been fairly savvy about every year. They've accepted that we have to be better, especially going up through the leagues. And I think they've done that again this year. I think a bit of the disappointing factor this year was with Sonny. We know it was always taking time and he was progressing. And we sort of stopped. He was just starting to hit his straps and the season stopped. And with Singo, the injuries as discussed earlier, and Cano, the same sort of thing. He sort of played a really good game there for us. And then next game, 2 minutes in, he's hemi pop. So I'm excited to get back out and start playing with them again. And Callum, I think you can't underestimate an NRL preseason's fairly tough doing a preseason in the middle of summer. And the way it prepares your body for a season, there's nothing like it. So I'm excited to get Callum that's come off of it, not just any NRL preseason on the Gold Coast, so it's humid as hell there, to get himself in top nick to come play and show his skill with us.
Hey, Quinn, let me ask you, you came here in 2017. You came from Victoria. It's one of the nicest places on earth. And then you came to a roster with Fui, Ryan Bailey, Jake Emmett, Jack Bussey. Was this like a shot? Have you ever played with people like this before?
No, definitely not. It's pretty crazy to be watching these guys on TV. I was big into my NRL growing up, so I've known a lot of the names before, and obviously guys like Ryan Bailey, it's hard not to know those guys through their time at Leeds and all the accomplishments and accolades they've had. But yeah, as you said, it's pretty surreal to be involved with those kind of guys, and I hope that I've learned something from them, and I'm looking forward to learning a few more things.
Did it feel easy, like to go back and play sevens after playing with a kind of a rougher group? Did it feel easy, like you were playing with kids?
I don't think no, definitely not. To each sport at the highest level, nothing is ever going to be easy to going from one to the other, and it's a completely different game. Even though it is a type of rugby, to me, I feel like it's completely different. While the tackling and the contact might be a bit tougher, I don't think there's a lot that compares to sevens, the amount of sevens running and wide passing and skills in terms of that.
Hey, Josh, what was the transition from NRL to Super League like? Did you have to condition your body different? What were the kind of aspects you found different?
Obviously, the conditions are massive, especially playing the championship level. Like I suppose it's like the Premier League over here. There's minimum standards for fields in the NRL that have to surfaces and everything that have to live up to. You get over here, you go to Batty and you run up a hill. That was something that was new. And then going to Barrow and you're playing in a foot of mud. That was probably the biggest thing, is changing conditions. Although when you're playing NRL, you talk about going to Townsville and going to the Queensland teams, Townsville, Brisbane and Gold Coast, where it is a lot more humid, the ball's more slippery. That's their advantage. Home ground advantage over here are way bigger, playing that basically make the field as big as they want. Dewsbury plays on a postage stamp, so it's the conditions were the biggest transition for me.
One of them has a hill. I forget which team has the hill. Batley. Maybe.
Batley, yeah. The try line at one end is the same height as the crossbar at the other. That was that's when we played there. I said, well, what if we win the toss? Do we run uphill or downhill first? What do you want? He said, you definitely run uphill first. And we I think it was half time. We're only just up. And I don't know if we've got any left here. This is tough. Lucky enough, we were able to scrape away a win.
Do you have a favorite away ground? This could be in the NRL or the UK.
Probably the best rugby league ground I've been lucky enough to play at was Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane. It's a rugby league specific field, which is obviously not too many of those stadiums of that size in the world. So hold 55,000 people. I think there was about 45,000 there a day that I played, and it was pretty cool. They sit right on top of you, and Queenslanders, I suppose they're a bit like bit like playing the Yorkshire teams. They're fairly parochial crowd, so they give it to you. It's fun to be out there.
Hey, Quinn, how about you? Maybe not favorite ground. You played in some different places around the world. Like, what was your best or favorite environment you were in?
Obviously, Landport's tough to beat.
Yeah.
Full. I played in front of a few thousand people there. But then personally, I think there's a rugby league field right in Stanley Park in downtown Toronto. Downtown Vancouver, sorry. So you can see the seaplanes landing over you, and you're in a forest in the middle of the city, and that's tough to beat.
I think when I introduced you when you played in 2017 was probably my favorite. One of my favorite intros, because everyone was super pumped, so I was excited for that. Josh, on the other hand, I think I did my best ever try call when you scored in the £1 million. But maybe take me back. Like you scored the first. Is that right? You scored the first try.
Lucky enough, yeah. Yep.
Lucky, yeah.
She was well, the whole £1 million game. That was I think BMAC touched on before. It was sort of the typical traditional grand final, wasn't it? It was a big arm wrestle, and it wasn't too pretty. I suppose it's a bit like my head. It wasn't too pretty to try, but it seems to work. I'm still able to talk, and it was worth 4 points. So.
No, it was. I mean, that was an amazing game, obviously. So I'm going to get you guys out of here in a quick second. Maybe Quinn, just give me what the next few weeks looks like to you, or nobody knows what's going on. Are you gearing up your training? What kind of things are you doing to get ready?
Yeah, absolutely. JK, he sent out our strength and as well as our conditioning kind of in a notes format. So just follow that day to day. And then besides that, I try to watch a fair bit of rugby league, as you said, watch NRL, that's on as well. So can watch that all the way back through the years. And so just trying to be fully involved in rugby league and just learning what I can.
Okay, awesome. And legit, I know people are so pumped to have you back, and it's just a bummer, the timing, but we'll see here eventually. And
for sure,
everyone's really looking forward to it.
Looking forward to that.
Josh, I was really looking forward to seeing you. Who knows that if you get here, we're really hoping you get here, because it would be quite the bummer. Because personally, and I know all the fans were really looking forward to seeing you. So hopefully we see you here.
I'm looking forward to get back to Toronto at some stage too. That's the great part of this whole experience is get to share this city that I probably didn't think I'd ever go to, but now it's my favourite city in the world. So I can't wait to get back over there and ride that bike up King Street back to Landport for a training run firstly, then get out there and experience another game day.
What was
like that? Hopefully country theme though.
Yeah. Maybe just quickly tell me about last year. All the Aussie guys, Chase and Ricky, had their kids here as well. What was that like? You guys had, it was like 12, Ashton, there was like 15 kids. It must have been a pretty fun time for the families.
Yeah, it was, the whole situation how it worked out, we got there with the visas and stuff wasn't perfect, but I mean, it's an experience wouldn't swap in the world. It was pretty cool. We sort of had our own little bubble of although we missed all our cousins and nieces and nephews, we sort of created our own little family and all. We're pretty lucky with the spread of kids we've got, but there's two of every age group basically. So the kids were great. They'd come to every trainer. We'd have a captain's run before the game, and they'd come to every captain's run, and we'd have a game of touch footy after that. And obviously, you see them after game day experiences come out in the field and give you a colour. It's a pretty cool thing about rugby league. It's a big family sport, so they're pretty inclusive and it was cool.
Okay, great. I'll let you guys get out of here. Thanks so much. Great to see you, Quinn, and Josh as well. Good luck. Hopefully we see you guys here. Thanks so much.
Thanks for having us. Can't wait to get back to Liverpool.
Okay, there we go. A couple good guys there. Great to see Quinn. He did people want to watch a podcast or listen to a podcast other than mine, the Howling Hour. Chasing Ruse, actually. There's a guy, Michael Carboni, does one in Australia, and he had Quinn on for like a nice long form hour, and Quinn breaks down, the first time he left the Wolfpack, and smart kid, man. Good kid. So we're really looking forward to him having a nice, productive career. Up next, at some point, we're going to get Bodene and Cunningham to tap in here. Somebody mentioned Brian Noble. We lost Brian Noble at some point in this season. Just a shout out to him. If there's ever a wall of fame or level of excellence in the Wolfpack, Brian Noble gets his name up there. He was here from the beginning. James is kicking in a second. So Brian Noble, what's up out there if you're out there? Great job. Longest serving employee. There we go. James, how you doing? There's Bodine as well, sideways. James, you are muted. Okay, I'll get to James first. How you doing? We've never met. Most of the Wolfpack fans haven't met you. Maybe just say hi to everybody. Say hi to Wolfpack Nation out there.
Yeah, hi, I'm James. Only played a couple of times for the Wolfpack. Was hoping to have like a nice, long, successful season, but it was cut short through injury. And this whole lockdown thing's sort of been a bit of a blessing in disguise for me, because hopefully when the season kickstarts again, you know, I'll be back fit, back running and stuff now. So hopefully when the training starts again, I'll be back straight into it.
Okay, so you don't have to go through it all. You've talked about it before, but obviously you went home from camp. You had all the rundown of symptoms. You couldn't taste, smell. How are you feeling now? And also, you did have that hamstring injury. How is that?
Yeah, so I sort of went into training on the Saturday, a couple of weeks after my surgery. Just feeling really run down. The physio sent me home. But you know, like for the first week or so, I just felt really feverish, really sluggish, and then like my chest was really burny, and then I couldn't taste or smell anything for like a month after the initial symptoms, which was the worst experience ever because I couldn't even enjoy eating a hamburger or anything like that.
You just eat broccoli and kale.
Yeah, it was quite good for me really in the end, because I ended up just eating carrots and made myself even more ginger than I already am. But yeah. It was quite hard really, because I was still a little bit run down from the surgery, and then obviously with the illness as well. It was a tough 6-week period, but luckily I'm through it now.
Okay, let's get Bodene in here. Bodene, how are you doing?
Hey, how you going, Rob?
Hey, good man. What is home for you? What city are you calling home right now?
I think we're all just in Manchester at the moment. So
you're in Manchester. Okay.
Yeah. So we're all just on standby here training. Like what Quinn said before, everyone's just doing the JK program and staying ready for whenever the season rolls back around.
Okay, you're the second panelist, along with Coach Brian McDermott, to not have sleeves on. I feel like I feel like none of the Kiwis or Australians ever wear shirts. Did you have to adjust when you came to the UK? Did you have to buy a bunch of shirts?
Yeah, it was fairly cold when we first got here, but it's it's mid-20s now. It's over 20 every day, which has been it's been really good actually. So yeah, it's been a bit of a it actually, you have to adjust when it gets warm, because you just don't expect it to be warm here in England, but it does get quite warm during the summertime.
If you had it your way, would you play in the heat, like 30-degree heat, or would you like it a little cooler?
Ooh, I like doing a preseason in the heat, but I like playing in the cold. So, but it's the other way around here. You do a preseason in the cold, and then halfway through the year it gets warm. But preseason in the heat's good, because you look down the field and you can just see the heat waves going like this, and you start sweating before you're walking out to do warm up. So it's a good little burn.
James, I'll jump back to you, James. A lot of Wolfpack fans got to know you in the 2018 season. You played with London. I think a lot of fans actually really liked that team. It was a pretty solid team. Maybe talk about that team. Was there a point in that season where you guys thought, hey, we can do this. We're good enough to be promoted?
To be fair, I think playing Toronto away at the Lamport, and I think both times we played there during the regular season, like we got pumped really hard. Like you put 40 points on us, and
but there was one second half where like Samet went crazy and scored a few tries, and you guys had a decent comeback one game.
Yeah, well, that's Jared Samet for you. He can score a try from anywhere. Like off the cuff, I don't think there's anyone that can match him. He could score a try from his own dead ball line. But going into that final £1 million game, you know, because we'd been to Lamport twice before and really had some points scored against us, we sort of like went into the game with like a nothing to lose mentality. We was like, oh, we've been beat twice here before anyway, so let's just go out there and you know, just try and defend it out. Like, it was grand final rugby, so you're just gonna have to like concede as little points as possible. It was always going to be a very defense-based game, and there was no tries scored, which was like crazy for a grand final.
Yeah, totally. And then maybe just talk about the jump going from the championship to Super League.
Yeah, I think people are still really like athletic in the championship, and there's not really much difference between people athletically. but I think people are just a little bit sharper between the ears. So, you know, like players are a little bit smarter, and there's some halfbacks in Super League that really catch you out if you're not switched on.
Bodene, maybe talk about you. You've actually played for other Super League teams. You had a year with Lee and Warrington. Maybe talk what's different about this. I mean, everything's different about the Wolfpack team, but maybe just talk about the differences going from Super League to a traditional Super League. NRL to Super League, and then to the Wolfpack, which is kind of in a category of its own.
Yeah. So the first year I came over at Lee, we're in championship, so it was a bit of adjusting, like what Josh said before the ground. So I remember we went to Batty and they almost called the game off because there was like 6 inches of snow, and I've still got the photo, and I show my dad and people back in New Zealand, and they just were in disbelief when you see the snow, and they had to shovel it off the field, and we still played with snow around the side of the field. So that's probably the biggest thing is just getting used to the pitch, because when you play in you know, a field like that, you can't train for that, because you don't train on like that kind of muddy. When you try and stop or slow down, you just slide. So that's probably the biggest difference, you know, adjusting to the different fields and the conditions between. And then went up to the back end of that year, went to Warrington when Lee fell through, and played in the grand final with them. And you know, they had a really good setup, and some really good players, and really good coaching staff, and high quality, you know, of how they do things. So that was awesome. And then obviously signed with Toronto from there. So you know, it was a bummer that we only just started getting on a roll this year, the last game, and we're picking up where we you know, where we wanted to start. But you know, hopefully we can start off where we finished off. We get going again.
Hey James, do you like those muddy games? Do you like the cold, wet weather playing in?
To be honest, like Bodene mentioned, it's been 20 degrees every day, but I've got ginger hair and white skin, so it's been an absolute nightmare for me. Been getting my mum to rub goose fat into my shoulder so I don't burn too much. But yeah, amateur rugby over here was always winter rugby, so I used to love getting cold on a Sunday afternoon.
Okay, so we're gonna queue up a clip of highlights in a second from the Challenge Cup game. We are gonna do a few things. Just a reminder to fans that this whole thing will be on Facebook later on. You can watch the whole thing from start to finish. We're also doing some signed jerseys and things. James, so you're gonna sign a jersey. Why do people want to get your jersey signed for the auction over, let's say, Bodene?
I wouldn't want my jersey over Bodene's. Can I have Bodene's, please? Mine goes down in value if I sign it.
Bodene, your wife's a famous dancer. Is that correct? Can you dance? Are you a dancer?
No. She asks me all the time. She begs me all the time to do these TikToks and all this, you know, new stuff. And if you check her account, there's not one TikTok of me. So I refuse to do anything like that.
There's no reason for any of us to be on TikTok. Okay, so you made the right choice.
Yeah.
Who would be? Is there anyone who would be the best dancer on the team? Is there someone?
Ooh, the best dancer.
Maybe Meller. He's got some quick feet, right?
No, definitely not Meller.
He's a dub dancer.
Hakeem. Somebody just said Hakeem.
Oh yeah.
Or Blake. You know.
Nah. Blake would give it a go, but I love Blake, but he's a bit stiff. He's got too much muscle. Definitely Hakeem. Hakeem's got the moves.
Okay.
Hakeem's got the moves.
Hakeem is guaranteed. He's like a bottle of fun when he's on the field, isn't he?
Yeah, he can move with big power.
Hey, James, do you have a position preference? You know, you've played hooker, scrum half. Do you have a position preference, or do you have a partner you like? Is there a certain type of player you like to be paired with?
Yeah, whenever I played halfback, I wasn't ever like a general. I was more of a running half. So if I was to be partnered with someone like in the halves, I'd like a general there, you know, to like direct the play around, so I don't have to do too much talking. I can just carry the ball then. But I was a 9 most of my career, and I only sort of just transitioned Well, to be fair, I played in the Super League at half when I was like 18. I went back to 9, and then I sort of came back at the half back last year. So it's just been all over the place.
Okay, so we might get a video highlights popping up if Kevin does it, but in the meantime, I'll just fire some questions. Oh, there we go. So we'll watch this. It's just little some highlights of the Challenge Cup game, and then I'll ask you guys about
back foot for the Canadian side to strike first. Quick play of the ball as well, through the hands, right to left. Can they free up numbers on the far side? O'Brien half break. 3, move, back foot. Just short. 3. Lutelli is the dummy half. They're battering down the middle at the moment. Can the Giants hang on? Terrific start from Toronto. Goal 4. All the way back, and they change the angle to the right-hand side. They've got an extra man and slicing through the line. And the Wolfpack are over for the first score of the game. They deserve that, and Lutelli is the man for the 4-pointer. What a start from Brian McDermott's side, and the Wolfpack hit the front 4-0. Let's show them what we fancy tonight. Here they come again, looking to double their money, leading 6-0 of that Lutelli try, converted by Gareth O'Brien. Go 3. In front of the sticks with a couple of tackles to spare as O'Brien joins the line. Really swift ball movement, and towards the line he goes. Move, Aiden! Back foot! 4. Back in field to set up once more. It's a grubber kick under the post, and it's taken! And they've got another one! And it's the same man, Lutelli at the double. That's brilliant from Toronto. And he's under the post. This is going to be 12-0. What a start from the Wolfpack. They must be so confident. O'Brien right in front. You wouldn't want anyone else on the kicking tee. No mistake at all. The flags go up. And it's a 14-0 lead for Brian McDermott's Toronto Wolfpack. What a start. O'Brien 3 from 3 with a boot tonight. As the rain starts to sweep in from the corners of this ground. O'Brien just puts his head down and strikes it through and through, and Toronto have a 16-0 stranglehold over the Giants.
Well, there used to be 2 of them, but one's gone missing.
It's all Garrett. That's how they saw Garrett.
So finds it in Huddersfield. Could you hand that back in? Our sponsors would love that back.
15 to go, and Gareth O'Brien extends the Toronto lead. 18-0, 5 from 5. Well, I say final minute, final play. That's the hooter. Toronto have nilled Huddersfield. Flawless, pretty much.
Bodene,
18 points to 0 for the Toronto Wolfpack. Earl Crabtree, the man of the match.
At the end, we saw you there. Great game. How'd that feel? You guys felt pretty good after that, right?
Yeah, I think it was just one of those games where we rocked up and it was raining and it was just like a really cold night, and everyone was in the changing room. Thought, boys, let's just go out there, and we've obviously had 6 losses or 5 losses, and we just wanted to go out there and prove that we can defend our way to a win, and we ended up playing some really good footy and coming together.
Okay, you've had at least one you had a couple boxing matches, one pro, which I watched. It was pretty good, man. You held your own against that guy who ended up having 10 pro fights. Coach McDermott would not answer this question, but somebody told me that you might be the hardest puncher on the team. Who you ever spar with the guys on the team?
Yeah. So I've done a little bit of sparring at the start of the year. I think me and Sonny been doing some. We were doing some at the start of this year, but obviously with the Corona stuff, it tamed down. But I think I've done a bit with Greg Worthington. He's pretty handy with his hands, and Big Malali. He used to do a bit of kickboxing, I think. So I've done some sparring with him as well. I think it was end of last year, but we're only just starting to get into it. So like this year, obviously Mac takes us through pads whenever he can, and whenever we can fit it into our program when not overtraining. So I love it. I still do it now. So I get my fiance to hold the pads, and she yells at me that I hit the pads too hard. So I can't wait to get back training with the boys in that sense.
Hey James, you ever involve yourself in this?
We've got a few hard players in our team, so usually it's me getting used as a punch bag, and they all like steal my lunch money and stuff. But I don't really fight back. Just let them take it.
If you need somebody small to knock around, I'll jump in there.
Thanks, mate.
I once heard the coach call, I think Gareth O'Brien got hurt one game, and he said, yeah, we have to really look out for the little people in our game. Does coach discriminate against the little people?
Nah, he doesn't. Nah, he doesn't. I reckon the little ones are the ones that, you know, the little quiet ones are the ones you got to watch out for.
Yeah.
They might not the size, and the big fellas that have got big mouths. I reckon it's the little quiet fellas you got to watch out for.
Okay, I'm gonna get you guys out of here in a sec. Oh, James might have just disappeared. There he is. James, you were locked inside. I was watching your social media. You've watched every show on Netflix, I believe.
Yep.
What do you like? What have you eaten too much of? What are you dying to go out and do?
Sounds really bad, to be fair, because I'm a professional sportsman, but I just can't wait to go and meet my mates for a pint in the pub. But I don't know. To be fair, my diet's probably got better since the lockdown. Wasn't training as much as I should have been, so I just tried watching what I was eating. Lost a couple of kgs that I needed to lose. So I can't wait to get out for a pint and can't wait to get back playing.
Okay, great, man. Well, we're really looking forward to seeing you guys, especially James. You know, nobody's really got the chance to see you. Got that injury, so we're hoping you come back strong, and Bodene as well. You know, you're maybe let me quick. Let us ask you one more. You know, we talked about the £1 million game. Bodene, you scored. I'll call it the penultimate try. You scored the try that I think just sealed the game. You barreled through two guys. You slammed the ball on the ground. What feels better, punching someone in the face or scoring that try?
That was pretty, that was pretty special. Obviously, I wasn't here the year before when the boys lost the game to the London Canoes team. But it was pretty special to get that win because I knew, how hard the boys have been, what they've gone through the year before, and the guys like Sid Lowe and actors and those kind of guys that have been there. Wallace, they've been there the whole time. So it was special to get that win, especially because we were losing at halftime, and it was such a tough game. It was just relieving to get that win. Plus, a player like, don't get me wrong, championship is nice, but I always want to play in Super League and the highest standard rugby league I can, because if you're not testing yourself, like I don't think you should be. You shouldn't be there if you don't want to play and get the trophies at the top end. So being in Super League is definitely key.
Okay, I'll give you one more. Somebody asked this. I'm going to change it, though. They asked who the softest is on the team. That's not fair. I'll say who's the hardest on the team. Whatever that means, hardest. Who's the hardest? Oh, we'll say this. I reckon Cunningham will agree with me too. He's the grumpiest. He's the oldest. He does things old school, but I reckon Wilco, I playing with him week in, week out, he might not even train all week because he's got an injury, but then he'll show up on the weekend and make 72 tackles and run around the park, moving people around and taking lead in the middle of the park, and he's inspirational, when he does that stuff. So, and however many games he's played, I think he's 42, and he's played 750 games or something. So he's inspirational, and he's an honor to play with because he's always going to be there. Hey James, let me ask you about a guy, one of my favorite opposing players, Eddie Batty, who's a guy that if you just look at, the first time I saw him, I'm like, what is this guy going to do? And then he just dominated a game. Like, is he unusually strong? I know he's a farmer.
So when we first started playing together, this was about 4 years ago. I was one of the fittest guys down at the club. Like, I could run. We had a 5-minute test, and you had to run under 5 minutes. I could run it in, 4:40, and I'm cruising up to the finish line, and I'm running down the final straight, way in front. I just hear these big, fat farmer feet slapping on the floor, and he's just running next to me on the left of me. So he's like unbelievably fit as well as like strong. It helps that he plays big minutes because obviously the longer you're on the pitch, the more you can do. He just plays really big minutes, and I think that's why everyone loves him so much.
Okay, I'll get you guys out of here. Thanks so much again, James. Bodene, looking forward to seeing both you guys. Hopefully you're on the field sooner than later, and all the fans are really missing you guys. So thank you guys for doing this.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Thank you. Can't wait. Thank you.
No problem. Okay, so just a reminder, thanks to everybody that joined. Just a reminder to all the fans out there that this is going to be available on Facebook, I believe. Definitely check all the Wolfpack social media. and that we'll all be there. Don't forget, we are having an auction as well. Like I mentioned, all the players' game-worn jerseys, I believe, are going to be auctioned off, as well as some other memorabilia. All that is going to go to charity. Some of the frontline workers in the UK and COVID testing, Variety Village, and some other things. And don't forget Agrinote. I should probably know that. But anyway, a couple new sponsors Bob mentioned. Shout out to them. Kevin Kennedy, Homestand Sports, and everyone else that was involved in this. I think we might actually be doing another one of these in a few weeks, hopefully, because unfortunately we didn't have any like real firm news. Like, this is when the season's starting. But hopefully when we do get some real solid news, we can maybe do another one of these. So thank you to all the fans that tuned in. I really miss everybody. I really miss my Wolfpack family and seeing the fans and players. So shout out to everybody out there, and we will hope to see you soon. Take care.